Allstin calls you up out of nowhere and just immediately starts asking you a community
Mayo, our
question.
first question of the evening is this.
oh my God, hello.
Yes. So this is my guest Under the Mayo here. He has been on the channel 5 years ago, and
Yeah, wow,
I think
that's
that
cool.
we both have a combat-oriented focus when we look at the games. Our first take is, the game's difficulty can feel a bit artificial. There are many times where I'm just dead. No warning, no nothing. My health is now 0. There should be stronger death protection that avoids this from happening so often. And now Mayo has not seen any of these. These are all fresh. Artificial. The brink of death mechanic. What do you make of that?
I don't know what to make of it yet. It feels like it's in a weird place between Eternal and 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's the intent is there. When I interviewed Hugo a few years ago, the intent was you want to keep the player on the edge of their seat. You want to have that moment of excitement, but still give you a chance to claw back out of it if you needed to.
He said that some enemies in Doom Eternal actually bypass the brink of death protection.
Yes.
I never noticed. I never even noticed that. And the fact that I never even noticed it, and no one ever even talked about it, and that people are talking about it now, means that there's something different. I don't know how to feel about it yet. I do like that Ultra Nightmare is a more dangerous run this time around, because I feel like once you get comfortable in Doom Eternal, once you're past cultist based, you're good.
The Slayer's powerful, but it's also less forgiving without saving throw, and that to consider.
Sure.
And beforehand, we used to call it soft saving throw because we didn't have the technical name Brink of Death. But it's still there. It's still being tweaked. The pinky is going to go, I believe, off of the list until they can get a better sound cue for it. So as far as artificial, they fixed it to where you don't die as much getting hit from behind. That's where situational awareness comes into play, being aware of all your surroundings the best you can. That's my take on that one, at least.
Yeah, and there's a lot, game familiarity also plays into this.
Oh, gosh,
realizing that holding block doesn't protect you from below. So if you jump and you block and there's a enemy shooting a projectile on the ground, it will hit you.
Ouch.
So like your feet take damage. So I think part of this is people not fully understanding the game yet. And I mean, some of it may be that some things are overtuned. I'm not entirely sure. I think that if you're at you're at 80 armor and 80 life and you take one hit, you shouldn't die.
No, it's
but unless you've already gone into death protection from a previous point, I don't think there should be anything that should just straight up kill you like that. Unless you've already entered death protection a few seconds before.
And there even are, like you mentioned too, hitting you from your feet. The Mancubus ground goo, that was in Eternal, and so that carries forward here. But you do have a good point there on our first take of the evening from Chano H2H, if I said that correctly. Now we got to dig into our second one here. It's a two-parter with a familiar face on the second part. Okay, Snavels, who helped me, Snavels, who helped me create the Meat Hook acoustic cover, very intelligent, found all these Mick Gordon Easter eggs, super smart guy. He says, the music fits the kind of game that id was going for perfectly. It incorporates a lot of old thrash elements while maintaining a grand cinematic finish. Given the aim of Hugo Martin was to create a huge cinematic feel, I think the instructions to make the music this way came straight from id Software themselves, and if Mick had worked on the project, the music very likely would have ended up sounding very similar to what we got.
I disagree.
Oh, go on.
I think I'm going to take the last statement first.
Yes.
That what we got would have sounded similar to what we got before. In that, I would ask you to compare The Only Thing They Fear Is You to BFG Division.
Oh, yeah.
No, those soundtracks complement the games that they represent. I don't know. If you listen to The Only Thing They Fear Is You, that riff is almost funky. It's almost like a Limp Bizkit riff. It's almost like a Limp Bizkit riff.
And someone on Twitter,
you could hear Fred Durst rapping over that song.
Someone on Twitter did it. Well, they made a funk version, a funk cover of that song or that riff.
And then then you look at songs like Vega Core and whatnot. It's like no, those soundtracks were crafted for the games that they represent. And I think that if Mick had come in to do this, he would have changed it appropriately. And if the direction, if the intentional direction was more cinematic, then I think he would have gone with that direction. Now my issue with the Finishing Moves soundtrack isn't that it's bad or that it's inappropriate. It's that Mick Gordon's sound has a particular production method. It has a particular mastering method. It has a particular tone to how the guitar sounds. The way that he does synths, it just pops. It's so much crunchier and so much more. I don't know the right words to describe it, but it just pops out so much stronger. If you play Dark Ages for 20 hours and then you just jump back in Eternal, you can just hear how much more it cuts through, which is something I like, which is something that's also missing in the Tag 1 and 2 soundtracks. And I made this point in my review. It's also about pop music. People think that this is all about metal. It's not, and that's why I don't really connect to the Dark Ages soundtrack, because I think it is good. I think it sounds good. I think it works. But as someone who's not really into metal, it doesn't appeal to me nearly as much, because I made this point in my review. You could show The Only Thing They Fear Is You or BFG Division or Vega Core to someone who doesn't even like metal, and they would go, wow, that's cool, because it has this pop side to it. It's real catchy. And the Dark Ages soundtrack is metal, and it is straight up metal. And if you don't like metal, it's probably not going to do anything for you. And I think that's the main difference.
It is interesting too how you say pop, because The Only Thing That Fears You is transcended into memes. Minecraft videos that my kid watches, that song pops up, completely unrelated. Yeah. It's transcended into that, and I'm curious to see over time how the Dark Ages, it hasn't had the time to do that, so I'd like to see where it goes in that regard. Now, something Mick said too was that the guns have a certain sonic area that they inhabit, and the music does as well. That's why Eternal's low and slow, to let those sound and music work together instead of against each other. He had 264 BPM, the test track. It did not work out. It was too fast, frantic, the low and the slow. And this is coming from a big metalhead since high school. So we're coming from different angles here, and I like that. I like to see that.
People who come from different backgrounds and musical interests are going to hear things differently. It's not that I don't like metal.
Oh, yeah.
There's several metal bands that I love, right? But I'm not like hardcore into the genre, and I like it. There's parts in the game where it's playing, I'm like, yeah, this is great, especially Into the Void.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, in the Cosmic Realm, and the music there is so good. But man, I don't find myself singing any of these riffs. I just don't.
Ah, so that's interesting.
I think that's what happens when you go from someone who is, no matter how complicated he may be as an artist to work with, I don't know. That's what happens when you go from working with a musical visionary to working with, artists that are essentially hired to create something that is a variation of something that's already been established.
And that's interesting too when we talk about that, because when I interviewed Finishing Move, they had a lot of cool things to say about it, and something we talked about in that interview was the Cosmic Realm. And our next take comes from a familiar face who was on the show just last week, Horde Mode Gaming. He says, while the Cosmic Realm tracks are some of the best in the game, I still don't think they were as unique as they should have been. I really enjoyed the ambience that Mick Gordon created for Urdak and was expecting something on the same level for the Cosmic tracks. Just a tad bit disappointed that they're more in line with the rest of the game outside a few notable moments.
Yeah, and that comes down to the electronics. It comes down to just the overall production. I mean, you could take the same exact songs essentially in their structure, in their melody, and you give them a different kind of production, and you can create a whole different vibe. And that's one thing that happens in Mick Gordon's soundtracks, whereas I feel like a lot of these songs in the Dark Ages all kind of follow the same, they're all on the same plane, regardless of what level they represent.
And it's one thing.
Like I mean, just think about. All right, right now, think about Meat Hook.
Meat Hook, right? My favorite one, yes.
You get into that riff. All right, now think about Gladiator.
Yeah, that's very.
Like it's a whole other world, and that's and I feel like that's what we're lacking.
Oh yeah, see, if there's one thing that I've learned over making videos on this, is that the soundtrack. I've been called a shield for liking Finishing Move. I disagree with that notion. It's going to be a little controversial. And speaking of,
you can like it. I mean,
exactly.
There's some tracks I like. I think the people who say soundtrack is trash, those people need to be immediately ignored, because they're just being. box. All right, like come on, like let's not we don't have to have perfection and trash. Like it's not a binary.
That's why I've told many people is that, hey, I don't care if you disagree with me, but at least have an argument for it instead of trying to bait me. I mean, yeah. And speaking of, I don't know if this will be controversial. I like to see this one. Backlash 6436 says, we need more that room archetypes. Example, the one secret encounter inside of the old one. Challenge rooms, it sounds like he means. Optional secret encounters.
That rooms. So the rooms that are like really memorable.
Yeah, like this challenge. Maybe they're optional, maybe they're not, but they exist and give the player a challenge if they want it. Tarstabon Master level comes to mind. Archvile.
Well, I mean, that's a master level. That's outside.
Yeah. That's. Do you think we need more of the that room, the challenge rooms?
I think we're already starting to get it with the difficulty passes. I mean, like I didn't feel this way before, but now I do about the Mancubus Enforcer fight on the 4th level.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Eratum is very dialed up on that, and even the Vagary champion fight, you can't.
Yeah, the
shoot
Vagary
off.
champion.
I thought I could go in, impale the Mancubi arms off, and they just walk to me. No, they don't. They still fire from their armless cannons. I found that out.
I didn't know that.
They do. I wanted to know if you could cheese the fight that way, and you cannot. You cannot cheese the fight.
I was wondering the same thing. But yeah, I mean that the new Vagary fight at the end of the 5th level, the first dragon level.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. The end of Siege 2 with the Enforcer Battle Knight that now has the Arachnotron that comes in, and like that whole fight's been remixed. So I feel like we're already on our way to having more of those that particular battle sort of feel. So I think it's in a better place, and I think only better things are to come.
Yeah, we'll continue to see that, I think, as more balances are found. And speaking of balance, we have a couple weapon takes here. This is going to be good. Sleepy _ Killer. The grenade launcher is not just a coward's weapon. The rate of fire does devastating damage, especially with upgrades. Really good damage and really good crowd control. With upgrades, people are sleeping on this weapon.
Yeah. Grenade launcher is ridiculous. Like if you talk to 10 people, 9 of them will tell you grenade launcher sucks. What's the use of this weapon? And then will be one guy that's like, "Are you guys all insane?" This weapon's crazy.
I've been experimenting with the different weapons to kind of feel out what works, and there's a room in Reckoning I just launch grenades in, and it forces the enemy to come through a grenade onslaught. It just works so well there. Like,
grenade launcher is incredibly powerful, and when I say it's a coward's weapon, I don't mean that that's just exclusive use. I just mean that it is a weapon that highly rewards coward play. Turtle. I mean, I use coward. I'm not calling it
cover shooting.
No, in fighting games we call this turtling.
Oh, okay. What's that mean for those that are less?
Turtling is when you stay back and you basically use your defensive moves to keep the enemy out.
Okay.
You can do that. You can do that through zoning, through like your projectiles or your long ranged. If you have a long range kick or something like that, you're staying back and you're playing defensive. You're turtling. You're hiding in your shell.
Like kiting.
And
not quite kiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't mean one specific thing, right? But generally, if you're staying back and you're lobbing projectiles over a box, that you're turtling, right? And that's where the grenade launcher is. The grenade launcher is powerful in several uses, right? You don't have to use it defensively. Like you said, if you upgrade it, it can be crazy. But from the moment you get it, it enables turtling, where you can be like, oh, there's enemies around the corner. I'll just ricochet this grenade off the wall and kill them, and they can't even see me. You can run away and blind fire it over cover because you have so much ammo for it and just explode everything. It rewards that kind of play, which is why it's a weapon that's so dangerous to buff, because you don't want to make the quote-unquote coward's option stronger in a game that is about up-close confrontation.
And it does work up close as well. I can definitely see the turtling aspect for sure. You get in there, you get the little bounce off the extra cluster. You can really cause a bunch of explosions and a bunch of chaos, which also means you need to watch your self-damage unless you're using it to boost a round. So situational awareness comes into play. Can you see through all of those explosions? Can you still track what you're doing? Same thing with the combat shotgun to get the armor back. It's kind of nice, but if you get caught up in all the shots you're doing with the triple, you have got to just still pay attention. Like if you're going to use it actively, you better be careful with it. If you're going to use it oh man. I'm finding that a lot of
Yeah.
these weapons are good in their own way, which is great. Fantastic design.
Yeah, they're all able to be used in the general loop, but they have specific roles that they can play depending on your play style or what you need at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm not gonna run away with the super shotgun if I'm
Right.
almost dead, right? But I might run away with the cycler or with the grenade launcher. Yeah, so yeah, it depends. I think I'm actually working on a script about this for a small video. I think that weapon balance is a very tricky thing to talk about in this game.
Yeah, I could see where you...
And coming from a fighting game mentality, I have seen fighting games where in the first month people are like, "Oh, this character is not competitive enough. This character needs a buff," and then they buff them, and they're like, "Okay, now they're competitive." Then 6 months later, they find something that this character has always had. And they're like, oh my god, this character is broken. And now with the buffs that they gave him 6 months ago, he's breaking the game. So I'm always very hesitant to buff things. Nerfing if something is so easy and dumb that it's mindless, I can get more behind. But buffing something because we don't really know how to incorporate it yet, I'm a little hesitant until the game's had a little more time to breathe.
That happened. Oh man, you were saying this, and I'm just over here. Yes, like, look at the Destroyer Blade. Until Zero Master brought it out in the Arc Complex Slayer Gate, everybody said it sucked. They just weren't using it correctly. They weren't bunny hopping. They weren't. Same thing,
Yeah.
Clash of Clans, the Lava Hound, even back in 2013 when I was, that troop came out for that game. Like, that is very, very true. Speaking of the Shredder, too. This Macrant said the Shredder is a fantastic weapon, and the Ricochet upgrade is one of the most fun mechanics of the game. Roast away, boys.
Real quick on the Destroyer Blade, that's a point that I've been bringing up almost every stream or every podcast I appear on, is that, remember guys, in Doom Eternal, it took us 9 months to realize how good the Destroyer Blade was. 9 months.
I believe
We are 2 months. We're not even 2 months into Doom: The Dark Ages. Who knows what mechanic is there that we haven't really seen yet. Like, just calm down. I mean, we are a more aware community at this point. We're finding things faster. There's a lot of similarities in the Mortal Kombat community. Doom Eternal was our Mortal Kombat 9. It was the game that created a competitive community, and now Doom: The Dark Ages is our Mortal Kombat X, where all the pros are coming over from MK9 and they're ready to dig into the mechanics. They're finding things way faster than they had in the previous game, and they're coming to conclusions a lot faster, and I think that blinds them to what could possibly be under the surface, just waiting to be discovered 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. Who knows? I mean, how long did it take us to find punch swapping?
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't it seem like the most obvious thing? Why were we not trying to punch instead of PB? Why did no one think to do that for a year? Sometimes the community thinks it's so smart, and then the most apparently obvious thing just floats right under the radar.
And that's really, too, what separates the greats. Look at Zero. I know this is a complete tangent, but Zero Master is one of the greatest, not because of his execution, but because he knows what to find where other people don't even know where to look and execute on it. And you just look at 2016. Okay, that game's been out, almost 10 years now? Holy crap. It took, so a few years ago, Guacadile, speedrunner, got Ultra Nightmare down to 270 total damage received through the whole campaign. And it wasn't until a few years after that Devo did it hitless, 0 damage. We had that few years to go from 270 to 0 because of those diminishing returns as you go, and just the time it took to learn. Well, now we're all more familiar with Doom, and I think we'll start progressing. I don't use the Shredder much. I'm not going to write it off because if Destroyer Blade. There you go.
I'm glad you brought this back to Shredder. In my review, I said the Shredder was the one gun that I felt didn't really fit in because it felt like a puny little assault rifle compared to everything else. But I did also say, but who knows? Maybe in 6 months we'll find something or whatever. Because I remember what I said about full auto initially, and then I became the full auto guy. So I was not 100% saying this weapon is useless. I'm saying, hey, who knows? And very quickly, people pointed out to me how awesome Pincushion was, and that's what I am really enjoying. I'm not even using the Impaler anymore. I find Yeah,
Oh,
I've
you didn't know
completely.
Impeller Stream. That's right.
I've sworn it off. I find the weapon fairly uninteresting at this point, and I haven't played with Ricochet. But I think even if I do, I'll probably stick with Pincushion because of the faltering. I mean, I'm the falter guy.
You are.
So the Pincushion's ability to set up like AOE falters, it really speaks to the kind of player that I am. So I'm really enjoying it. I love that, like, Pincushion on Pinkies is absurd. Because Pinkies have two, because Pinkies have two glory strike opportunities.
Yep. That's
compared
true.
to others.
That's true.
And so, if you shoot Pincushion at a Pinky, and you put him into it, you shoot Shredder at a Pinky, and you put him into the glory strike. Keep shooting him to apply Pincushion, and then do the glory strike, and then just throw the shield, because he's already highlighted. He's already highlighted, and then he's dead. It's so cool. There's so many interesting weapon combinations, and as Hugo says, combat sentences that make this game really fun to master and to dive into. Which is what I was hoping for.
You know, you do. I dabbled with 100% run simply for the reason that you have to do mastery challenges and learn each and every weapon. It forces you out of your comfort zone, which is kind of nice. It's just you stick to the Impaler. It's so good. And Hugo, if you're watching this, please don't nerf it hard, please. But
its day will come. Its day will come. I'm sure.
I know. But it's just interesting to see if you switch off, have an open mind, what you can find out. So speaking of which, the movement is better in TDA. Carl5234 says the ability to dash with the shield and actually run feels amazing, unlike in Eternal, where you power walked and flew across the arenas. I don't know, man.
Better is always a tricky word to use.
Preferences is more,
I mean,
it's faster in terms of like the shield bash will take you to where you need to go. The charge, rather.
Yeah, and the base run speed.
It is
sprint.
It is faster.
Yeah.
Even just looking forward, not left or right or back, which is a different thing. It is faster in that regard. And if you take off the slow-mo, you will feel a huge difference. I don't know if I can go back to no slow-mo or without regular slow-mo.
I run it at about 50%, which feels nice. I still like the hit stop sort of feel. It's just a little pause. I like that feel for the impact. I don't want to take it off completely.
It is a tactical thing because that gives you just a split second to say, all right, I'm going to survey the battlefield. I want to turn this way. I want to go that way.
Yes.
So it's just a preference. Well, at the end of the day, like, I like it. I think it's fine. It's not Doom Eternal 2. It never was meant to be Doom Eternal 2. And I enjoy it for what it is.
I like I don't know, maybe it's because I've been playing these fast-paced, light-as-a-bird shooters since Dusk,
Dusk was cool.
And it's been like 7 years full of shooters that all have this just jumping around, and you're crazy. You're Turbo Overkill, Ultra Kill, Postal Brain Damaged, Doom Eternal. There's so many where you're just so light, and the heavy feel of the Dark Ages for me is refreshing. And when I load up Eternal, and even more Doom 2016, when I load those games up to record something for a video, I'm just like, I'm shocked. I'm like, wow, it just feels so different to move here. And I really, at this point of my life, I am really preferring the way that the Dark Ages feels, where it's this hybrid between feeling very heavy but still having fast options.
Yeah, I mean, one of my other favorite games, Left 4 Dead 2, is absolutely not meant to be frantic Eternal, but you're still hitting a bunch of keys, you're still like blocking attacks. There is still strategy and element. It doesn't have to be super fast to be fun.
I was recently, just a couple days ago, I was invited to be commentary for the GDQ run of Devo. Yes. And I was watching him play for 3 hours, and I was watching him just do all this crazy movement and fast swapping in Eternal, and I was watching him, and it was amazing. I love doing the commentary. It was an honor to be there. I loved watching him play, but at the same time, I was thinking, wow, I really don't want to do that.
That's all right.
I was like, I think the sensory overload, I was like, I think I've had enough of that for now. And I'm really enjoying the way that the Dark Ages feels, because it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like anything else I've ever played in a shooter, which is good. Has been a really nice feeling.
And speaking of combat here, and then after this we're going to go into our lightning round. And this says, Everflame's Glory says, there should have been some early game boss fights. Depleting a health bar that involved Azric 5 times over felt a little repetitive. Still very engaging boss fights, though.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
It's one of the negatives that, like, that's never going to change. No matter what they update, that's one negative that will never change, and that is that there's 4 boss fights at the end of the game. And and like, you know what, when you think about it, there weren't a whole lot of mid-game boss fights for Eternal either, because you had the Doom Hunter and then he became a mini-boss. You had the Marauder and then he became a mini-boss.
That's what they
so
did here.
really the only the first actual boss fight is the Gladiator.
Halfway in. And then that's it. Yeah.
Then after that, it's not until you get to the Khan Maker.
That's true.
So but the thing is, it does have the Gladiator fight, and that's after 7 levels.
Right. Still early enough in there.
It's still early enough in there, and this game has the Vagary fight, which is a boss fight. Yes, of course it is. But it's a mini boss because it's like the Doom Hunter. And so we don't actually have a dedicated boss fight until the end of level 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Kaiser was on that one.
That's absolutely a criticism that I agree with. Yeah, there should have been. I would have liked to seen the Creed Maker somewhere halfway through the game, or fight Azrek first, somewhere in the midpoint, and then fight him again later.
Yeah, the whole hero's journey that the Slayer, it's a literary thing the Slayer goes on. The whole dying and back again, and fighting Azrek early would have been nice. Having some unique boss early would have been cool. I mean, it's still a fantastic game.
Totally.
But I know they're going for cinematic, the big finale finish, all these bosses. It's great. What if? What if?
Absolutely. I think an earlier Azrek would have been nice.
It would have. And I want to come over to our lightning round. So this part of the show is where I slam something to Mayo. He gives us a quick answer, and then he slams it back to me. I have a quick answer here. So I'll start this one off because
there's got to be some non-Doom questions in here, right? There's got to.
We can make them that way. These are Doomy, Dark Ages-y.
All right. Well, go. I'm sure there were some questions that were not Doom focused. So I'd like to touch a few of those if you have the time.
Oh yeah, we'll take a look there. We'll hit these lightning round real quick. I'll start this one because there's a comment that I got that I specifically left one for. Says, Razorwire Clouds 5708. Over a month since release, and all I've seen are videos desperately trying to defend Dark Ages. If the game were as good as you say, would it truly need this much defense? Also, the OST is Captain Bland's monotonous adventure. And I replied, I believe it's a fantastic game and soundtrack, so naturally I'll speak highly of it. I know that not everyone agrees, and that's okay. In my latest video with Horde Mode Gaming, we go over the not just good, but bad. I believe if you truly love something and you want the best for it, you need to address the other side too. If liking it makes me a shield, then so be it, I'll take the label. What do you make of that?
I think that people's biases and the way that it changes the way they feel about things is a very interesting thing to witness. I'm not saying that I'm innocent of it, but it is very interesting to me that 5 years ago, when there were armies of people just hating on Doom Eternal, that we were there. I was part of it. I was a big part of it, obviously, but we were there defending Doom Eternal. I put out multiple videos trying to explain the fun zone, defending the creativity of that game. I did. My first video was defending the Marauders design.
Yep.
That we were fighting hard to defend the design of a game that we loved against waves of people who were hating on it a lot of times for completely bullshit reasons, or just blatantly throwing out lies about the game. That we were doing that, and the community would praise us for defending the game. And here we are 5 years later, and we're defending the design of the next Doom game. And some of those same people are now coming at us saying, well, if you have to defend it, maybe doesn't that mean that it's actually a bad game? It's like, what are you talking about? You were the same exact people that were happy that we were defending Doom Eternal from the weird ass haters. And just because you didn't resonate with the Dark Ages when we're defending this game's design, now you're on the people.
And it gets updates. It got updates along the way. This gets updates along the way. So, we'll see. Yeah, I'm just going to carry on doing what I like to do, and that's my feelings what I bring. And same for you too. There's another one here. See this one, Sarat's death. Noob Guy 9973 says, Sarat's death was not that emotionally impacting. We should have had more interactions with him to care about his or her death. Lightning round, Mayo, go.
Yeah, agree. Completely forgot that he died. And I think the Ackman has a good point that Surat should have been an early game boss fight that you defeat,
Whoa.
and then you tame the dragon and make him your own, so that we could develop an actual connection and introduction to the character. I think he was completely right about that. That would have been the right idea, because I don't care about the dragon, honestly.
And you say that, and that pops out to me really much, because the whole mantra was out of the codex into the cutscenes. Well, inside the codex, there is an meant to be emotional story about Surat. You save him from a battle. Like, that's how that connection is made, but we just don't see that unless you read the codex.
Yeah.
And that'd be more impactful in a cutscene. So that's
what if we had played that battle early on in the game, and either fought Surat and tamed him, or rescued him from something. Like, to actually, look, remember, showing is better than telling.
Yeah, maybe.
And so I wish we could have formed that emotional connection with the dragon.
And we do throw in Spire, we do throw the meat, a leg at him. That's a cutesy little moment. And his death scene was a little rough, just seeing Azra cut the spear into him. It takes a second to pull it out. It's locked in him, jumps it out. I knew they were going to kill him off probably, but I'm still kind of like, I haven't had the courage to tell my kid that he dies yet. Because he likes Surat. Got to figure that one out, I guess. Yeah. Ouch. So Chili_T says, Doom content creators are not using falter quick swaps. I've yet to see any YouTuber actually showcase this playstyle in their videos. Basic combo with the combat shotgun and SSG is shield throw, shoot the combat shotty, withdraw the shield for a falter, quick switch to SSG, and finish. There's a whole lot more weapon combinations like this. It's also initiated with any falter state, like shooting an enemy while falling, hard landing falter, quick switch to something else. What do you make of that one?
Well, if you haven't seen any YouTuber use that, then you're watching my streams, because that is exactly how I play. I use those falter states. I am regularly switching. You should not use the word quick switch, because it is not a quick switch. You're just switching to another weapon. If saying quick switch implies that it's some kind of tech, and it's not. You're just using the falter state. And yes, I am much more conscious of my jump falters, of my delimbing falters, of my shield recall. And I am intentionally playing that way by using swaps during falters. I am definitely doing that. If you're not seeing other YouTubers do that, eventually, and I think that is the way to play the game.
That is clever. I do think that some people are missing out on that as far as delimbing for falters, which is nice. And the coolest thing...
Mancubus. Wow. Dude, the Mancubus delimbing is so good. If there's a Mancubus on the ground, and then you jump down, and you know that jump will falter them.
Yeah.
And so you know that they'll be faltered, and they're there, and then you turn towards them, and then you wait a split second until the falter state's over, and then you SSG during while he's coming out to delimb him, and it refalters him. And so there's no need to ever even throw the shield to stun him. And I think that is the next level of that's the next high level play, I think, for this game.
And I've seen some cool things like that too. Yeah, my friend Zexy, what he did, there's a Komodo Inspire that you fight at a extra life sigil. He fell from above. The Komodo came out of the ground. He landed on the head for the falter. Then he landed on the ground for the stomp falter. He double faltered, and it was so clever. I was thinking of something like that. So that's not bad. I see things like that.
It's really good. It's really good. And then you'll pin cushion a Hell Knight, and then detonate him, and then he will falter the Mancubus on his side from the explosion. And then you run up, and you use that window to switch to the SSG, and then take off the Mancubus's arm, and he refalters.
Clever.
And and understanding those mechanics and taking advantage of those moments are opportunities to not use the shield, to not use your shield throw. And we know that the shield activities are on cooldowns. So if we can manage things without using the shield, I feel like it's going to be a stronger defensive benefit.
Very nice there. I'm curious to see what we'll have there. And speaking of that, enemies, Atrash says, don't have much individual identity in this game. Between the shield bash making enemy movement patterns irrelevant and lack of more specific enemy weaknesses than this one wears armor, it's easy to fall into a pattern of dealing with all the heavy demons with almost all the same button inputs. That ain't good, he says.
That's an interesting thing to think about. So he says that enemies don't have much that separates their behaviors.
I
and
guess
they don't have
he's.
specific weaknesses. So essentially, you end up dealing with them all the same ways.
I feel like he's saying that you can shield charge SSG every enemy, which not fully the case. There's
Not
some you can't.
entirely, because anything higher than a Hell Knight will not falter from a shield bash.
Right.
So that's one thing to consider.
I
You
think
can't falter a pinky with a shield bash. You don't like. You're not going to shield bash a pinky.
no.
You're not going to shield bash a Mancubus unless you're setting a parry.
Which will be changing in the
But-
future update, it seems.
Possibly.
Maybe.
We don't know that for sure. I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
trickle
I
there.
mean, I guess there is a point to that, but in Eternal, when you watch people play, are people really handling things in really specific ways? Because I just PB rocket, grenade,
Yeah.
blood punch, SSG, and I see them take down everything that way, and then everything outside of what is like generally usable against everything becomes more niche playstyle stuff, like me using microwave beam or remote dead falters or full auto or something like that. So I mean, I think that there's going to be a general way to play the game. I don't know how much there needs to be enemy specific weaknesses outside of armor.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I don't know.
ways.
It's a more complicated topic. I don't know how to answer it at
Yeah.
this point, but I feel like the game is more about builds and not about enemy specific tactics. And
Yeah.
so like, I'm using Cycler with Pulverizer and SSG with Ground Fissure Falter. And that's the way that I like to handle the fights. And yeah, I am handling a lot of the fight the same way, but I feel like I'm doing that in Eternal also. But then there are certain enemies that I do end up tackling different ways. Like right now, a new thing I'm doing with the Cyber Demon is I'm running in, I'm applying shock and pincushion, and continuing to fire Shredder while using the parry to trigger pincushion.
Oh.
And like I'm not really doing that against any other enemy. So I don't know. I'm also using SSG against against Hell Knight for the new delimbing falter. I think the game is getting more interesting. I think he does have a point to a degree, but I think the same criticism can likely be put onto Doom Eternal or most games.
PBSSG, PB Rocket, PB Ballista.
Sure. Yeah.
That
I mean,
whole
hell,
generalization.
even just SSG.
Oh.
Once you have SSG Ballista, you can, like, what enemy can you not take on that?
That's right, yeah. It's a,
Right? I mean, even yeah, there's weak points, sure, but you have frag grenades and ice bomb and SSG Ballista. You can essentially kill everything that way. So I'm not sure how far I don't know how far this criticism can really go.
a fair point there.
It's been a nice time. I don't know how long we're going to be inspired to play this game. I don't know if it's going to have the legs that Eternal does. It's a few months in, and I'm still excited and interested, so I feel pretty good.
Yes, well, thank you, Mayor, for coming on here. Curious to see what you think about it. Watch Horde Mode Gaming in the last one if you want to check that out as well. Thank you for watching.